Sometimes the worst enemy you'll ever face isn't a bully. It isn't a toxic ex. It isn't the person who betrayed you. Sometimes it's you. Not you as a person, but the voice in your head that never seems to stop. The voice that turns every mistake into evidence, every failure into a verdict, every weakness into proof that you're not enough. You could achieve something meaningful, and it would immediately remind you of everything you haven't achieved yet. You could receive a compliment, and it would convince you the other person simply doesn't know the real you. You could spend years fighting the world, only to realize you've been fighting yourself the entire time. This is self-hatred, and unlike most enemies, it doesn't attack from the outside. It attacks using your own voice. Most people think self-hatred is just low self-esteem. It isn't. Low self-esteem is doubting yourself. Self-hatred is rejecting yourself. It's the difference between saying, "I made a mistake," and saying, "I am the mistake." That difference sounds small, but it changes everything. Because healthy self-criticism focuses on behavior. Self-hatred focuses on identity. Healthy self-criticism says, "I need to do better." Self-hatred says, "There is something fundamentally wrong with me." And once that belief takes root, it begins to distort the way you see yourself. You stop seeing yourself as a complete human being. You stop noticing your strengths, your growth, your progress. Instead, your attention becomes locked onto every flaw, every failure, every insecurity. It's like looking into a mirror that's been cracked for years. The reflection is still yours, but it isn't accurate anymore. The most dangerous part is that self-hatred creates a cycle that feeds itself. You fail. You attack yourself for failing. Your confidence drops. Your performance gets worse. You fail again. And then your mind says, "See, I was right about you." The cycle repeats, not because it's true, but because you've started treating the accusation as evidence. Over time, even simple tasks become heavier. You begin to live under constant pressure, not because life became impossible, but because you're carrying an extra burden everywhere you go, your own judgment. And eventually, something strange happens. You stop trusting positive feedback. If someone compliments you, they're being nice. If someone believes in you, they're mistaken. If someone loves you, they just don't know who you really are. The image you've created of yourself becomes stronger than reality itself. But here's the question. Why do we hold on to self-hatred in the first place? If it hurts so much, why don't we let it go? Because part of us believes it's helping. Part of us believes that being harder on ourselves will make us stronger, more disciplined, more successful. We think that if we punish ourselves enough, we'll finally become someone worth being. But look at the evidence. How long have you been criticizing yourself? How long have you been carrying this weight? And has it actually given you the peace you're looking for? Has it made you kinder, healthier, more fulfilled? Or has it simply made you exhausted? The truth is that self-hatred disguises itself as self-improvement. But they're not the same thing. One helps you grow, the other convinces you that growth is impossible. The first step out of this cycle is realizing that not every thought deserves your trust. A thought is not a fact. A feeling is not proof. There's a difference between, "I failed this exam," and "I'm a failure." One is an event, the other is an identity. There's a difference between, "This person rejected me," and "No one will ever love me." One is reality, the other is a story. And self-hatred is very good at turning stories into facts. So the next time your mind makes a claim about who you are, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this actually true? Or is this just what pain sounds like inside my head? Because emotions are real, but they are not always accurate. The second step is learning how to make mistakes without turning them into a character judgment. Think about someone you genuinely care about. A close friend, a sibling, someone you want the best for. If they failed, would you tell them they're worthless? Would you tell them they're broken? Probably not. You'd point out the mistake. You'd help them improve. You'd separate what they did from who they are. The question is, why don't you offer yourself the same fairness? Holding yourself accountable is healthy. Condemning yourself is not. You are responsible for your mistakes, but you are not your mistakes. And maybe that's what self-hatred never wants you to understand. You can be imperfect without being worthless. You can struggle without being broken. You can fail without becoming a failure. Maybe you don't need to become stronger. Maybe you don't need to become smarter. Maybe the biggest change in your life won't come from defeating the world. Maybe it'll come from finally
stopping the war you've been fighting against yourself.